You're watching Buzz with Jess Lujan.
We're back with my guest, former Senator Frank Ishizaki. We're talking, of course, about Bill 215-32, the medicinal use of marijuana. They'll be having its second public hearing this Thursday at 5:30, public hearing room. And then from there, I'm sure the committee report will be put together, and maybe we'll go to the floor.
Senator, maybe they'll take a clipping from this show for their committee report
and submit it as testimony, right? But let me ask you this again, because as one who served not only as a lawmaker, but you served both on the civilian side of the government, law enforcement, and also on the federal side. Again, with the good intentions on this, Senator, can we do it? Can we do it? Knowing, again, when you were serving, the challenges were great, enormous for our men and women in blue. Funding is always an issue. Knowing we have right now, if it passes this year and goes into effect 90 days from its passage and signing into law, yeah, you're going to have to enforce the law. But can we do it and do it again as it should be done?
Well, if we get a commitment that we need to do that. If we just blindly create a new law without any regulations and hope that nothing bad will happen, then we might be shocked. Because I think I followed some of the activity in the mainland where they have medical marijuana, and it's like, what kind of prescriptions, what kind of medical conditions are they allowing the use of medical marijuana? Certainly people that have terminal diseases, cancer, extreme medical conditions where their expectation to live is short and the pain level is high, maybe the appetites are gone, various factors that are maybe of tremendous concern for the doctors. I don't have a problem, and I don't think our community's got a problem with supporting medical use of marijuana for those situations. But what if I have just a migraine? Every Wednesday I have a migraine, or I got an ingrown toenail. Is that enough to get medical prescription for marijuana? I hope not.
If it's very painful, probably you can concoct something to be able to do something like that, right?
Yeah, and so if you follow that thought, and some people have posed that the prohibition of the use of marijuana is similar to the prohibition of the use of alcohol back in the 20s into the 30s, and I think it's different. But during that era, when it was a constitutional violation, remember it was the 18th Amendment?
That's right.
That the use of alcohol was actually suppressed, and when they lifted the restrictions, alcohol consumption went up again. So there is a little validity, I think, to the legal side, the enforcement side, that to some people, using a prohibited item is exciting, but to the masses, it keeps people from experimenting.
And in reading the bill as well, and I'm sure it'll be amended if it ever gets to the floor as well. But when I'm reading the bill, some of these things that are said, that it'll be your physician that would give you the authority basically to or the sign off or something that would say that you'll probably benefit. In talking to Casey's dad, the bill was named after Casey's dad and Casey's wife in this. It wasn't his doctors, it wasn't his oncologists that made the prescription, that gave him the prescription. They weren't the ones that gave him the prescription. He had to go to a dispensary and have a doctor there, I guess a clinician there that specializes in that. But it's not his oncologists. His oncologists were very, were not not necessarily for or against it. They didn't take a position. They were very interested on the things that were going on because of the use, that you're supposed to be bedridden and you're walking around without your crutches and things like that. So they were charting everything because it was all these positive effects that were happening, but it wasn't his oncologist that was prescribing it. In this bill. It'd be doctors. I mean, when you ran the lab, you had I think a DEA, drug enforcement, I guess, licensure, right? Because you needed to get some of these drugs to do some testing in your lab as well. Again, docs they have licensure that comes up every few years or so. I don't know if you're going to get a doc that really doesn't quite know about it to say, I think you're going to benefit from it, because what liability can you put yourself under, as well as would you jeopardize your licensure?
And that's a concern. because those Schedule 1s through 5 licenses are issued by the Drug Enforcement Administration, and the doctors don't get Schedule 1 licenses. Those are given to special laboratories and researchers for special purposes, and they're not for dispensing or medical use. So doctors who have regular need to renew their licenses may face a risk. If they prescribe, say, level 1, Schedule 1 drugs such as marijuana. And I don't think that marijuana belongs in Schedule 1 category, but that's where it is.
It's still there right now. Until it's removed, it's still there. And the other thing, when I talked to Casey's dad and Casey's wife regarding the dispensaries, because these same dispensaries were growers as well, they said every day the regulators were there. The government regulators were there. They were checking on...
And these are state officials.
These were state officials. They were there constantly, I guess maybe checking soil, whatever. I mean, they were there constantly. You know, again, the challenges of public health that will oversee this. If that's not there, if those regulations are not there, you can... Again, you might not have something that is going to go take effect, and people are going to be waiting that can benefit from this, and you're never going to, because you know, I mean, until the AAA process, you've gone through that, it's not going to happen. Again, I'm hoping it just doesn't, you know, give a false hope to people as well. But likewise, you know, the enforcement has to be there, because my understanding, as what Emily and Keen, Casey's father, had witnessed. They said these were tightly regulated entities, again, that needed constant regulation, and that means, of course, funding.
Funding. You got to have hired people. They got to be trained. They got to understand the rules and follow and inspect on the properties, the marijuana cultivation, the storage, the measurements, and the dispensing, right? And they got to check which doctors are writing the prescriptions. And I'm not sure if all our medical practitioners are going to be willing to write the prescriptions. So perhaps they have to license one particular person just to write scripts for marijuana, perhaps.
Now, also my understanding as well. I mean, my ignorance of this, I thought marijuana is just one thing, but I guess there are different strains, different potencies of different kinds of plants. Now, if not all plants can be grown here with the different potencies, you're going to have to import them. There's another thing with interstate importation of a Schedule 1 drug.
Yeah, and the seeds, are restricted as well. Yeah. So how do you bring that in? I guess you got to start something. Maybe I don't know. But that creates a complex situation.
Sure. Yeah. And those things, again, you would have to have in place, or a good handle on those things prior to, I guess, the implementation of something that's very meaningful, to folks, for a lot of us who have witnessed, and the people now who are out there who are viewing.